The hardest year of my life wasn't when I was using drugs. It wasn't the 70-hour weeks in Michelin-starred kitchens. It was the year I got sober, because that's when I realised what I was really addicted to. And it wasn't what I thought. If you've ever quit one addiction only to find yourself drowning in another, then this is for you. I'd just quit alcohol and drugs cold turkey 2 months after my father died. And I thought that was it. I thought I'd finally done the hard thing. I was eating what I believed was the most optimised diet possible. Grass-fed meat, wild fish, organic everything, cold plunges, sauna, supplements, red light therapy. I was doing everything people say should fix you, and I was more depressed than I'd ever been in my life. I couldn't understand it. I'd removed the drugs, I'd removed the alcohol, so why did I still feel like I was drowning? Around that time, the relationship I was in started falling apart. We'd been living in each other's pockets for years, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I had to leave, and that's when it became clear. I wasn't sober at all. Here's what nobody tells you about quitting your primary addiction. You don't stop using, you just transfer. For over 20 years, alcohol and drugs were my medication. 2 drinks and the anxiety disappeared, the mental noise quieted, the self-doubt eased. When I quit, I thought I was free, but I'd just switched substances. Now it was sugar, and I didn't even realise it. Because I was a pastry chef, I'd been around sugar for 13 years, I thought I had it under control. But once the drugs and alcohol were gone, the grip became obvious. Every meal needed something sweet after. Didn't matter if it was healthy. Greek yogurt with berries, dark chocolate, nuts, honey. I told myself it was fine because it was whole foods, but I needed it, and if I didn't have it, I felt this rising panic like something was missing, like the meal wasn't complete. That year, sober, grieving, newly alone, I started eating more carbohydrates than I had in years, because I had nothing else. No substances, no relationship, just me and the sugar, and the depression got worse. Here's the trap with sugar addiction when you're eating healthy. It doesn't look like addiction. You're not eating donuts for breakfast. You're eating fruit, honey, sweet potatoes, sourdough. You're doing it right. But your brain doesn't care if it's organic. It only cares about the dopamine signal. And I was hitting that signal 3, 4, 5 times a day. I thought I was low carb, but I was never below 100 grams. Most days probably closer to 150, and my body was screaming. Brain fog, anxiety, depression, gut issues. I'd had my entire life and I thought were normal. I was doing everything right, except the one thing that mattered. I was still feeding the addiction. I'd been researching carnivore for years. I'd heard Sean Baker and Paul Saladino, but I always thought it was too extreme. I was convinced I needed the plants, the fibre, the diversity. 30 different plant foods a day was my goal, but I was desperate. I'd tried everything. So one Sunday, I stopped debating and I just did it. And by Tuesday morning, about 48 hours in, I woke up and felt like a completely different person. The fog lifted, the mental chatter quieted, the anxiety eased, the depression went silent. I walked to the seafront that morning and felt like I wasn't even touching the ground. I recorded myself because I couldn't believe what was happening. Here's what I actually believe actually changed. I'd been relatively low carb for years, not strict keto, but not fully carb dependent either. I already had some degree of metabolic flexibility. And when I removed sugar completely, my body adapted fast, but I was ravenously hungry. I ate huge amounts of meat because my body was finally getting the bioavailable nutrients it had been starving for. No blood sugar roller coaster, no constant dopamine spikes, and my brain could finally stabilize. One simple thing that helped early on was drinking more water than I thought I needed and adding plenty of mineral-rich salt. Now, this matters because not everyone can or should jump in overnight, like I did, and that's okay. This isn't about being extreme, it's about removing the things that keep the brain trapped. If you're where I was, sober from other substances, but still gripping sugar like a lifeline, here's what I'd actually recommend. First, you have to name the addiction. Because if you need something sweet after every meal, if food doesn't feel finished without it, that's not preference, that's dependence. And you can't heal what you won't acknowledge. Second, stabilize your blood sugar before you try to be strict. That means removing obvious sugars first, desserts, sweets, sweeteners, fruit for now, and making sure every meal is built around protein and fat so your energy stops swinging. Eggs, butter, fatty cuts of meat and fish. Just eat until you're genuinely full. Third, reduce carbohydrates deliberately instead of guessing. If you're currently eating around 150 grams a day, drop to 100 for a week, then 50, then 20, or even lower. This gives your body time to upregulate fat metabolism instead of panicking. Fourth, increase fat on purpose. This is where most people fail. If you cut carbs but don't replace the energy, your brain will scream. Add butter, tallow, fatty meat. Don't fear it. Your nervous system needs fuel to feel safe. Fifth, commit to a defined window. 30 days strict, not forever, just long enough to let the noise settle and get clean data. No exceptions and no testing yourself. And finally, observe without judgment. Track energy, mood, cravings, sleep, even anxiety. Write it all down. This isn't about discipline, it's about listening to what your body has been trying to tell you for years. If you're sober from other substances but still gripping sugar like a lifeline, the hardest year of my life taught me something I didn't expect. Sobriety isn't just about quitting the obvious addictions, it's about facing the ones you didn't know you were still using. For me, that was sugar, and going carnivore didn't just clear my brain, it gave me my life back. If you want the full story of how I went from being a pastry chef addicted to sugar to completely changing my relationship with food, I'll link that video on the screen here. If this content is helping you, please subscribe. I'm rooting for you, and I'll see you in the next one.